beautiful souls. Welcome. I hope you guys are having an incredible week. It's such a joy to share with you today. Wow. How are you guys experiencing the full moon? Beautiful full moon. Beautiful energy. Yeah, last couple full moons were pretty strong, pretty powerful. I had 911 calls, throughout the entire week. But this one was definitely more integrative. It was definitely allowing us to go deep into some aspects of ourselves that need to change, especially in terms of relationships, exchange energies. How are we exchanging with the world around us? The quality of our exchange, the quality of how we see ourselves and then exchange with the world outside of us. So these are all really interesting themes that have been coming up. And so, yeah, I'd love to talk about that, but also we're going to deep dive into the topic of destiny and free will. This is a question that I had this week that was very interesting. And it was really about, what is destiny? What does it mean? Do we really have free will if we have some kind of preordained or predefined end or plan for life experience? How does that play a role in the free will that we play out in our lifetimes, and how is it that we're actually choosing in that experience? So I'm going to dive a little bit into that because I feel like it's really timely in the bigger picture of our evolution and where we're going. Let's jump into it. So let's talk a little bit about what destiny actually is. Now, remember that the nature of the system in which we live, this holographic construct, is operating in a very cyclical manner. We are repeating, everything is repetitive, everything is cyclical. It's based on the law of three, which is based on the Fibonacci sequence. The Fibonacci sequence is, I really feel that the ultimate language of this universe is mathematic, it's numerical, it's geometric. And of course, that translates into frequency, vibrational frequency, which we're engaging with. And we intercommunicate with our entire bodies. So that being said, vibrational frequency transformed into symbolism is how we are engaging with communication, both in a terrestrial plane and interdimensional. So when we see messages, when we see numbers, when we feel certain emotions in our body, those are connected with all of these different systems. Over time, by cultivating stillness, you can kind of begin to pick up on those subtle intimations and deeper understandings of those symbolisms. And you begin to notice that there really is a structure that a lot of people are tuning into, globally. There's a language globally that we're speaking based on symbolism that we tune into. So when we talk about destiny, we might think that destiny is something that is a defined future for ourselves. It's a defined end goal. But because of this spiral motion of all things in the universe, experiences are cyclical. Our incarnations appear to be cyclical. And how we function psychologically, emotionally, biochemically from the DNA expression of the core blueprint of everything that you are, emotionally, psychologically, and then, the records of what you are, which is the records of your terrestrial ancestral lineage on Earth, mother and father, and then, of course, your interdimensional ancestry, which is everything that you are as a whole. We are the all. All of that is translated through the DNA. And we can navigate that DNA. We begin to travel through that DNA when we go into deep meditation and do deep healing work, and we uncover the memories of our childhood memories, our childhood traumas, limitations, where those belief systems are coming from. And then it expands out into your past lives, future lives, which again are all existing simultaneously. So this kind of cyclical nature really helps us kind of tune in to, what's happening. Now, another part of that is to understand that whatever is available to you right now. So right now, if you were to go into hypnosis, you tune into certain past lives. The storyline of those past lives that you're tuning into are a vibrational match to the current evolutionary process that you're going through right now. Your physical body, your organism is like a musical note. It's like a frequency. Your entire human organism, your physical body, which is a fractal of infinite potential, has a note, a sound to it, a frequency. That sound and that frequency is made up of all of your emotional patterning, your belief systems, the structure of how you're holding your chakra system. So, for example, if your root is out of balance, whatever chakra is contracted or expanding, blocking life flow or expanding life flow, will change how your frequency, your tone, your sound is interacting with the world outside. It's creating, basically, how it's creating. Everything that you experience in the world is a projection of what you are holding in your subconscious mind. But that being said, that is a frequency. So this frequency, and of course, there's different levels of creator frequency. There are your most powerful creative frequency is what is in the subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is basically the library of everything that you have been and all that you have the potential of becoming. All of that is deep embedded in layers of your subconscious, and then into the unconscious and collective unconscious. If you were to look at this in your energetic body, further out in your energetic field are these realms of information, these realms of knowledge, these realms of memory that are accessible to you. And so the closer these forms, these memory forms, are closer to your physical body, the more immediately they are playing and participating in the creation of your life experience. So that's why energetic hygiene is so important, in order to maintain a constant clear state of what it is that you're projecting into your reality. But what fuels those immediate thought forms that you're holding on to, let's say belief systems of being afraid of love, for example, the contraction of loving, or the contraction of giving, or the contraction of being compassionate, the fear of being vulnerable, or of intimacy, for example. Those kinds of fears are deeply rooted. And when we look at that, so in hypnotherapy with my clients, we begin to notice that there's many lifetimes that are participating in those belief systems. Now, lifetimes are us navigating our current strongest frequency and the themes that are being projected in these different timelines, different dimensions. So we have an opportunity of visiting, and usually the deeper you go into hypnosis, or the deeper you go into your work in meditation, the deeper you'll be able to uncover higher octaves, higher versions of these kinds of memories, in order to help you expand your perception. Part of the meditative process is that the deeper you take yourself into a state of 0 point, into a point of observation, the more expansive your perceptions become. And that is healing. The healing is actually the expansion of your perception. Anytime our perception is limited, it's myopic in the way that we perceive the world, the way that we perceive ourselves, the way that we perceive, the nature of our experiences, the more suffering, more contracted, more limiting is the flow of life force through the body. Now, life force has to be constantly cycling through the body because of the cyclical nature of this universe. And at any time that we block that, that's when we start going into the centrifugal state, in which we are depleting the creative life force. So when we talk about destiny, the way that I see destiny is that it is the repetition. Any time that we repeat things over and over and over again in our lives, subconsciously in our lives, as a soul, in many incarnations, in many fractal life experiences. This is destiny. So the invitation is to create, which is completely different than destiny. And many humans, we are afraid of our creations. We are very afraid of creating because looking at the entire human race, world history, it's been deeply indoctrinated into us. Externalized power, externalized knowledge sources, dependency, and incrementally over the centuries, we've lost the connection to nature and to the true form of what the human creator actually is. And again, that's also cyclical, right? So at some point in the origin of man, we remembered who we were. We walked the earth as integrated beings, deeply expanded, deeply connected, in communion. And at some point, as we start to explore the physical realm, the material realm, we experience separation more and more and more. So in our lifespan, the invitation is to be able to navigate the separation, continuously coming back to union with the higher self, union with nature, coming back into natural order, into that flowing cyclical movement of life force, the ebb and flow of creation and death, through your experiences, through your thoughts, through your emotions, and in your application of your free will. Because free will is, again, only available to you if you know you have it. And then once you have it, understand, what it means to actually embody that. So to embody free will is, first of all, to understand how you're creating. Your creation is from the subconscious mind. So all of your deepest fears, the most densest emotions that you're holding in your subconscious mind. Okay, and I really invite you to look at the things that you fear the most. I mean, the things that paralyze you from action. And we want to use our logic, and we want to make all kinds of reasoning why those belief systems are sustainable, or they're as they should be, or they're good in keeping us safe. But as the human race moves into a higher octave, these are going to have to be revisited in a very grounded manner, because inevitably, because we are frequency beings, because you are a sound, you are a frequency, as this entire human race is evolving, we want to be in alignment with that evolution in a harmonious manner. You're going to evolve either way, whether you like it or not. We are all evolving. We're all moving through this cyclical system. But how you experience that evolutionary process will depend on, your awareness, your level of awareness, your level of love towards yourself. I want to reiterate, love is not an emotion. Love is a state of co-creation. It is the 0 point, the observer that observes all potential and co-creates. And that's the whole point of that creation. So what happens as a result of, once you're aware that your creation is coming from the subconscious mind, then what do? Basically, we need to learn how to take responsibility for our creation. And that is a lesson that many advanced civilizations, and through the regressions and the experiences of so many contactees over the years, that's one of the most beautiful things that I've observed, that these advanced civilizations that are having these kinds of, that have already passed some of the phases that we are passing through at this time, as a human race, they exist in dimensions that are instant manifestation, in which they are very connected to the thoughts that they're having, and they're very aware of how those thoughts create. And so there's a profound connection between thought, belief, creation, action. That is complete present engagement in your present moment. Imagine if you would exist in that way every moment of your day, being completely aware of your thoughts. And, you know, the mind is very interesting. And I've experienced this fluctuation over the years that when I don't meditate or when I pull away from that connection to the divine for a certain amount of time, or I'm in a toxic environment or a lot of toxic environment, meaning, you know, a lot of changes and shifts that are out of control, for example. You know, a lot of times we can feel like we lose our footing, we lose our grasp on the ability to master that kind of observation. And we want to deeply engage, we want to control the environment as much as possible. But what that teaches us is that, you know, as we observe the things that are happening and we learn to have compassionate and love with ourselves, we actually can experience them fully, learn truly why we're there, what are the lessons that are being needed to be experienced as a higher soul. So this is very interesting. Although I don't believe in destiny as an end destination, I do believe that we are following a kind of natural order that allows each human, because they are a vibrational frequency, because they are a certain state of consciousness. That state of consciousness, that state of frequency that you are, is kind of building the path of creation of your life experience. And so you will attract the kind of experiences that you need in order to be aware of those. And that's what life is really about. It's continuously showing you where you are at, what you're experiencing, what you're creating. It's a mirror. This construct, this holographic construct, is a mirror of yourself. And that's pretty profound, because I've also experienced that when you come into the 0 point, it's infinite potential. Truly, truly, you experience that you can manifest any potential scenario. You can even change scenarios. And even experiencing being able to affect matter, people, energetically, working with people in ways that are energetic. It is, but you know, you can only do that when you are truly coming from a place of harmony with all things. Because those special gifts and those abilities, when they cannot be inverted in a way. They try to invert it, right? In mass indoctrination, brainwashing, you know, trying to do this social engineering, fear, creating fear in your life through vibrational patterns of television, sounds, music, you know, things that interfere in your own connection. That can interfere. Basically, it depends on you. That can interfere in your connection, right? So that manipulation, that inversion of truth, that inversion of natural order, is, you know, obviously something that is destructive for the person doing it and also for those around us. So we are right now at a moment where an old system is going through a destruction process, and it's necessary because it's part of this kind of ascension into a higher octave collectively. And as we see the destruction of this old system, where people are going to feel very lost is in trying to understand, okay, what are we creating then? Because right now, the most important thing is that we learn how to create. Right now, we are learning, because for the majority of the past few centuries, we've kind of been in pretty deep dormant states, and you know, humanity has been kind of falling asleep, and we're fighting to stay conscious and awake in our lives every present moment. So to be truly in the present moment means to become a powerful creator. And I'm not Christian or Catholic, or abide by any kind of religions, but a very interesting concept that I heard one of my clients say the other day about the second coming of Christ, right? They believe that there's going to be a second coming of Christ. But what I see, and the way I see Christ, is as an example of consciousness, of the incredible potential that humanity has. And we've had many examples of that. Krishna, Buddha, all of these deities, there's so many to name around the entire world that have been examples of the ascension, the embodiment, the mastery of this physical vessel in this construct. So we are the second coming of the Christ because we become Christ consciousness. We become these Jedis that are affecting matter, shifting matter in a way that is truly in harmony with natural order. And that harmony is something that affects all living beings, not just self-serving, immediate things. So how in your healing process, in your deep shadow work, how to find the light is to always observe what is the highest truth. What's the highest truth? It's the highest universal, harmonious truth with all things. What is true across the board? What is true beyond this immediate moment? These kinds of truths, these universal laws are, immutable truths that can literally, across time and space, they are still part of this construct of harmonious maintenance. So if we can learn to identify those in our lives when we're doing our shadow work and our healing, major expansion can come into those areas. And, in the healing process, in DNA reprogramming that I'm doing every day with clients, something that comes up every time is, this judgment. We want to use a logical mind to convince ourselves that our current beliefs are sufficient, that they are correct, that they are in harmony, that they are in alignment. And for that, we need to quiet the monkey mind, the survival mind, because we are not primates, we are not animals, we are not existing in survival. That is part of an illusion that we have to learn to transcend. And that's the regulation of your nervous system from the emotional perspective. Your nervous system becomes regulated through your emotions. So the regulation of your emotions, which means that you're aware of why you're feeling your emotions and that you have the capacity to feel your emotions in its totality and in all of its uncomfortable ranges that begin to come up based on how you have been subconsciously storing these emotions in your body. So, to sit with emotions is one of the most difficult things for us when we are going through the awakening process, because it forces us to look at very profound belief systems that we've held on to so tightly in order to be safe, in order to be powerful, perhaps a false sense of power, a false sense of control in our lives, a false sense of love. And so we are re-educating ourselves on these true concepts of being in natural order. We are learning what love really is. That's one of the most powerful parts of my journey, is really understanding what love was. And boy, was my perception of love completely mixed up, upside down, inverted. And, when you start to recognize those inversions of love and how things in this world are inverted, in very deeply subtle ways, even our own thoughts, we ourselves invert truth in our own mind, right? Because we use the survival logical mind to make reasons for why we behave the way we do, why we feel the way we do, why we create the way that we do. And, we try to manipulate those truths in order to fit the narratives that have kept us in survival. So yeah, the same thing is occurring in the bigger picture of what is transforming in the world around us. And so the systems that are going through that destruction process, the key right now is that every human all of you souls that are here doing this work, go deep into your subconscious mind to understand your deepest shadows, your deepest angers, your deepest fears, your deepest limitations, because the freedom from those things is the expansion of your energy field, which is the opening of potential timelines in your creation, which is the opening of timelines for the collective. And I don't know how to stress how important this is. And you guys are going to all see that eventually as we move through time. But when I see the bigger picture of the timeline in which we are moving at this current state, this split in humanity that will occur at some point, maybe, is that in one direction, we become completely attached to technology, transhumanists. Okay. And so I am not against technology. I love technology. I love advanced technology. I love technology that is in harmony, beautiful technology, like the technology of our body. And our world hasn't seen the technology that I love yet, but we will see that if we can get past this hump that we're going through. The ability to connect to your own internal self, to your own functions and how you work is teaching us how to process that computational power that AI is modeling for us. AI models a powerful computational power. And it is using more of its system. It's like it's using more of its brain to compute these multiple systems at once to produce answers instantaneously. Things that have taken us years to resolve are being done in minutes. The human is also going to go through that level of an upgrade because of we're entering into a higher octave. But it means that our potential is expanding. The awareness of our potential, it doesn't mean that, we now have the potential and it's a new thing. No, we've always had that potential since forever. But we will be more aware of that. And it will be more available for us to access that information because it's time for us to do that. Only 2% of the DNA is writing this complex system. But in that same way, in the field of consciousness, in the field of information, in the access to your Akashic records, which every single one of you have access to, the memory and the history of this planet Earth, the memory and the history of the universe is available to you through these Akashic records, which are encoded in your DNA. They are encoded in your energy system. Your access to those records through meditation work, firstly, by releasing the limiting belief systems of indoctrination, limiting beliefs, self-hate, self-rejection. First, you got to learn to stop rejecting the very vessel that will free you from the illusion of suffering in this matrix. Okay, because this physical vessel is the key to the union of this entire universe. It is the key to the navigation. The more that we love this vessel, the more that we care for this vessel, mind, body, and soul, the more we are being able to, in dream time, leave and navigate dream states, other dimensions, understand, learn, explore things in these Akashic records that will help propel humanity forward, not just yourself. And what do I mean humanity? Your healing that you do in your shadow work, this integration work, is healing your entire ancestral lineage. That entire ancestral lineage is it's your 2% of DNA that you are healing. Imagine the entire earth has all these little human cells that are operating at 2% DNA. Eventually, that will expand. The next octave of the human race is human cells that are using more than just the 2%. Right now, honestly, we're barely aware of the 2% that we're using, right? But we are going to expand into more level awareness. That's what it means to become multidimensional, because it is the access point to the etheric aspect of your body, of your entire organism. The etheric layers of your organism are the memory. They're a bioelectrical structure, bioelectrical membrane that interconnects you to all organisms, both physical, non-physical. So the cultivation of the 0 point at this time, the deep work of your shadows, your fears, the releasing of that is absolutely paramount, because we need to train ourselves to begin to work in our Akashic records. We need to recover the memory of what we are at minimum in order to begin to embody your true purpose. You know, we have lots of purposes. Again, I want to make sure that I'm clear about that. But for the majority of humanity, because we're going through this sticky process of waking up from the hypnosis of this incarnation, you are healing your ancestral lineage, because once you heal the ancestral lineage by integrating the fractals of yourself that have existed through your body, through your DNA, you're healing the history of the planet Earth. Let me explain. Time is spherical. Time is spherical. Everything is existing simultaneously at this time. You are like a projector of your DNA. Your DNA is the real you. Okay, it has no form. It's just energy. It's life force. Your physical body functions as the projector of that information. It also refracts the information needed for you to exist at this current timeline in the way that you're creating. But as you begin to heal your ancestral lineage, you're healing an entire body of consciousness that's simultaneously existing on this planet Earth. The organism is an organism of consciousness just like you. The Earth is a living being. It's a being of consciousness. And it's going through its own evolutionary process, its own healing, its own thing on a different level, just like you. Now, we are the cells, you can say, of this organism, planet Earth. And as you heal parts of yourself, we are connected through this membrane, through the morphogenetic field, to not only, through the ancestral lineage and through the Akashic records, which is, it's a etheric memory bioelectrical system, but it's a grid. It's also connecting to a grid that is connected to the Earth, to the different continents of this planet, different energy points of this planet Earth. So all of your ancestors that you have in your bloodline, through our DNA, we're connected to the planet Earth. Where you live right now, you're connected to the planet Earth energetically. We have streams of energy that connect us to the place that you live right now. Because how we move around in this planet is a self-organizing system, highly, highly intelligent technology that we cannot even fathom. The self-organizing system of this planet Earth moves humans exactly where they need to go for the healing of themselves and of this ancestral organism of consciousness, of memory. So whenever you feel called to travel somewhere or whatever, move somewhere, that is absolutely not random, in the same way that it's not random the people that you meet in your life can be your neighbor, the community you live in. If you interview every single one of those members of your community, you will understand the resonance that holds you all in that community. But we are so disconnected from ourselves and others. And, even after, the pandemic, for example, that separation was even more, right? Nobody talked to anyone, nobody connect with anyone, and so, but if we were to follow the process of unity and begin to connect with one another, very quickly, we would understand collective work, what is happening collectively. In ancient times, ancient civilizations used to speak with the land, work with the ancestors in the land to heal the land. collectively. Every member knew what they had to do in order to sustain harmony in a place. Places that are ridden with war become dead. They no longer produce crops. The land becomes an inverted vortex, or a blocked vortex, in the same way that you have a blocked heart chakra, sacral chakra. The earth as well becomes blocked. So grid work is an inside job. It's a very real thing that we do every time that we do shadow work. Because the next layer of your shadow work, part of it is etheric, right? The cleaning your own etheric body. The second part is emotional. The third part is to work with the earth, which you are an extension of the earth. So in my healing journey, what I've discovered, which has been so magnificent, is that as you go into the Akashic memory, as you go into the Akashic records to recover the memory of the cyclical patterns that you're repeating in your ancestral lineage, you will see, some people see the map, but you will begin to understand how the land in which you've lived on has been holding those memories too. Okay, so wars, for example, I come from South America and Europe. So, wars, so many years of wars, Inquisition, the taking over of the indigenous people, all of that memory is encoded in us. And our trauma is a result of those massive global collective traumas. Our behaviors, our fears are a result of those collective traumas. So take a look at your history. Where do you come from? What parts of the world? What's in your, DNA ancestry? I don't suggest doing the DNA sequencing through DNA, Harmony, or what are those websites called? I forget. Those websites are collecting your data. Okay, well, it's probably too late now, but I talked about this in 2017. When everyone was donating the DNA to get it sequenced to see where your ancestry is from. It would be great, but the problem is that they collect that information, and that is now going to be the foundation of our pharmaceutical system moving forward. Because now that they have the DNA sequencing of a lot of humans around the world, you can create maps of that history. Okay, and there is a very real intention for a kind of eugenics program on this planet Earth that has been existing for a long time. And it's interesting because they understand that DNA is who you really are. DNA is the most important part. That's like the blueprint of all that you are, that connects you to the earth and also many universes. You have that encoded in your DNA. Okay, so anyway, besides that, you don't need to go to do any of that. When I went into retreat for 4 months, I was able to track every single one of my ancestors to their place of birth. And then, after I did research in the records, I found they were true. Amazing journey. I invite you to do the same. What you're going to find, and what I found, is that looking through the lines of cords that connect us, because we have cords, right? This bioelectrical membrane system of your morphogenetic field is runways of information. And those are called cords. These cords, right, we can cut them, but what does that mean is neutralizing them. The frequency, the cords are vortices. They are portal vortexes that are linking us, just like a neural pathway to a thought. It links us to other collective organisms that are in resonance with that thought frequency. So it's a frequency, okay? So this cord is a frequency. Now, how do you cut a cord? Is you shift the frequency that you're sharing with the other person. That's how you really cut a cord. It's not just imagination. Cut, you're good, you're done. No, you have to change the core subconscious emotion that is creating a resonance to the person that you're connecting to. And then you're going to change your attraction, your magnetic attraction to the person. So if it's a very parasitic person, a toxic person, drains our energy vampire, things like this, chances are you're also a vampire. You're also an energy, you're using your energy. You're leaking your energy in some way. You are inverting your own energy. So this is where we learn how to take control of our energetic hygiene truly. So in this ancestral work, it's the same thing. Think of the same thing. You are looking at how many generations you're repeating the same program. This last week, I had a very powerful session with a client that had a lot of sexual abuse in their family. Every single generation, 7 generations, were a product of sexual abuse. That's not new, and that's not surprising because we see it in many, many families. Okay? But, when you think of that, this is a very strong inversion of belief that originated. So there was a parallel to where the family originated in that was connected to the culture, the religion, the societal structure, the norms. And then you begin to look at the energy grid, where they're located, what part of the world. The planet Earth also has chakras. Every single chakra, every center of energy on the planet Earth has a theme of energy, has a vibrational frequency, which provides a theme for us, conceptual theme energetically. It's a range of frequency. So we are born in the locations that we need as a soul for whatever it is that we're learning to transcend and heal for our ancestral lineage. Okay, so your birthplace, where you move, if you go to an adopted family, all of that is part of the vibrational self-organizing system that exists on this planet Earth. So when we're doing healing, we are reintegrating our fractals. What does reintegration of fractals really mean? Simply expanding your perception to become aware of those parts of yourself. To become aware and to still sustain the 0 point in the observation of that. We are alchemizing our fears, our judgments, our emotions that we have towards those events and experiences that we have encoded in the history in order to understand what the lesson is. The integration is the embodiment of the lesson, which means the embodiment of love. You're expanding your ability to love, to be compassionate, and to accept yourself in your raw, authentic form of your soul expression in all of its potential experiences across many lifetimes, many dimensions. That's the 0 point. And so your ability to do that will allow you to expand into a unity consciousness where you begin to observe things from a more compassionate way, firstly for yourself, because now you're not re-traumatizing yourself every 5 minutes with your repeated trauma, abandoning yourself, betraying yourself, hurting yourself. Meditation is the embodiment of that awareness. So right here, right now, you're like, oh, hold on, I feel triggered. Let me replace that with an activity that is more loving towards myself, which is more compassionate with myself and all that are involved in this moment. So that's the embodiment of love. And that is how you break cyclical patterns. This is how you break cyclical patterns. This is how you begin to really anchor source into the healing of the planet Earth. Because what happens when you become a grounded, expanded being of consciousness, you channel source through your body, and that healing heals the earth. You can even affect, and I don't really want to say this because then people get hung up on it and they're like, oh, let's focus on doing that. I'm just going to share with you what happens. You even heal the land in which you were born in. Okay, the country can come into more stability as a result. That's if many people do that work. Okay, so it's really beautiful and it's really powerful, and it's not that you are doing it to control the narrative or the focus or the direction in which we're headed. You know, it's so much of an inside job, and what we're affecting is way beyond just your regular life. That's how expansive you are, and we just have to start to understand yourself as that expansive self, because you know, the reason why we do this work, it's not just to, you know, hopefully find a partner or manifest the dream job or hopefully get, you know, the things, the material things that we hope to get, or to be happy even, or to heal the body. You know, you are so deeply interconnected with everything. And to love, to truly love, means to see yourself and everyone as an extension of yourself. That's a true compassion. Okay. All right. So let's jump into the meditation. And then at the end, we'll do some questions. Okay. Go ahead and come into a grounded state. Breathing deeply. Close your eyes. Go ahead and drop in. With every breath you take, as you allow yourself to come into a state of complete relaxation and calm, quiet your mind. Ground yourself, connect yourself down to the center of the earth. You're going to see an energetic cord that connects your body down to the center of the earth. You come into stillness. Relax the muscles in your body, all the tension in your body that you're holding on to. Bring yourself out of survival into observation. However subtly you might be trying to manage survival in your body. Go ahead and begin to feel your energy body around you. Go ahead and notice if any openings are in your space. Go ahead and close any openings in your energetic body. Okay, we're going to go deeper. Go ahead and focus on the root chakra at the base of the spine. Go ahead and shrink that root chakra down to the size of a dime or the size of a marble. Go up into the sacral. Go ahead and shrink your sacral chakra down to the size of a dime. Notice what's different as you shrink your first and second chakra. Notice if your thoughts change, if your contraction in your body shifts. Just observe what's happening to your body, your thoughts. See if there's any changes for you. Let's go up into the solar plexus. Go ahead and shrink your solar plexus down to the size of a dime. Go ahead and go into your heart chakra, expanding your heart chakra front and back. Just observe what happens. Does it feel like opening in the back, in the front, side to side? Does it feel blocked? Is it difficult to visualize? Anytime something is difficult to visualize, it means there's a blockage, or I should say a disruption of life force in that part of our body. It can be a blockage, it can be a tear in your space, it can be, a thought form that's stuck, stagnation. So just know that if you have a hard time visualizing some areas more than others, that's you being highly intuitive, reading your body, and becoming aware of what's going on. Go ahead and go up into your throat chakra. Go ahead and expand your throat chakra. Go up into your third eye, expanding your third eye. Go up into your crown, expanding your crown. Okay, let's go ahead and start running energy. Bring green earth, life force from the center of the earth up your feet, absorbing through the base of your feet, up your shins, your calves, your knees. Pull it up into the body, into the center core, creating a vortex of energy. This is the clearing, healing, cleansing power of nature. From source, visualize cosmic energy coming down to the crown of your head, combining with this energy, green life force. Go ahead and mix green and gold, cosmic and earth energy in the center of your body. Notice if the rotation of that life force is obstructed in some way. And to clear out any obstructions. You're going to take 10% of this combination back down to the center of the earth, and you're healing earth now, bringing cosmic energy into the planet Earth. Go ahead and take 80% of that combination up your spine and from the crown of your head, coating the outside of your bubble. Clearing your relationship with the matrix. Go ahead and clear any connections to people, places, and things in the past 24 to the past week. Imagine your energy coming back to you like gold energy. Clear any cords to your dream state. Call back your energy from any aspects of yourself in dream state that you may have depleted your life force unconsciously. Go ahead and take the final 10% of this combination and bring it into the body now, absorbing into the pores of the body, into the flesh, the bones, the cells. Absorb your body, fill into your body this cosmic and earth energy as it rebalances, restores, heals, regenerates, rejuvenates, revitalizes every cell of your body. Okay, let's go deeper. Go ahead and activate your crown chakra now. You expand your crown. I want you to see your color, your creative color in your crown. Your crown chakra is your higher self. It's the access point to your Akashic records. Okay, it's the access point to universal knowledge, memory. I want you to notice, what is the color of your higher self? What is the frequency? The first color that comes up, that's the color that you're going to be using in your crown. I want you to visualize that you have like a pie chart, and the pie chart is going to show different aspects of your life that are really important. You are going to align by filling in each one of these little slices of your pie chart with your creative color, with your higher self. You're going to align. And if you don't want to do that visual, that's fine. Just set your intention that you are aligning your higher self with your career, what you do in your life, your livelihood, whatever it is that you're focused and you spend a lot of energy of your life doing. Fill it in with your higher self so that you can, do it from the higher self. And, if you're not happy in the career that you're in, when you align with your higher self, it will change. It might, change things. Other opportunities might come, because when we're creating consciously like this with intention, you see, in order to be a creator, you have to have intention. Your intention has to be very clear. Your intention at this time is to experience the human experience from the higher self. rather than the survival unconscious mind in hypnosis. So as you enter your higher self and align it with your family relationships, loved ones, intimate relationships, partnerships, husband, wife, daughter, partners, your children, align your higher self in those relationships. Whatever relationships you might have, friendships. Okay, you're going to align your higher self with your health. Okay, so that your health is in alignment with your higher self. Align your higher self with your projects, with your work, your home. You're going to align your higher self with your purpose. Whatever it is that you're here to do that brings your soul highest harmony through the physical body. Align yourself with your creation. Everything that you're creating is aligning with your higher self. Your creative energy includes your sexual energy, your creativity, your manifestation, and your ability to attract abundance. Good, and align your higher self with all those aspects of yourself. And finally, your spiritual work, your soul's evolution. Align your higher self with that so that you are intentionally being aware of what you need to be doing every moment of your day to be in harmony with this higher self. Okay, just observe what's changed, if your emotional state has changed, if the way that you're holding your body has changed, if the way that you're observing your meditation have changed, just observe that. If the way you feel about your coming week has changed, just observe that. Okay. I want you to see a room full of karmic contracts. I want you to shine your crown light on top of that room. You're just going to dissolve all of those agreements. Okay. Go ahead and fill that room with your creative color, your crown chakra color. You're going to go into another room that is full of beings, entities that do not have your best interest. Go ahead and see all those little shadows there of attachments, entities, beings, people in your life that don't have your best interest. Go ahead and visualize shining your crown light and just dissolving, eliminating out of your space. Okay. Go ahead and fill that room with your creative color. Just begin to observe the strongest emotion that you felt over the past 24 hours. Be absolutely present with that emotion in your body. Notice what part of your body contracts, and I want you to name out the emotions that come up. As you observe each of these emotions, just always observing which one is the strongest. Okay, as you name out the emotions, notice the strongest of this. Go ahead and be present with that emotion in your body. Notice how your body contracts. And go ahead and name out the emotions that are inside this emotion. Okay, go ahead and notice the strongest of these emotions. Take yourself back to the very first time that you experienced this emotion. Okay. As you allow yourself to observe these memories, see yourself in those memories, notice the emotions that come up for you. Be present with this memory. Go ahead and notice what is it that you need in that moment in order to no longer feel these strong emotions. It's not about avoiding the feeling of the emotion as much as it is to understand what need is not met in that moment. That's how trauma is created. We don't know how to meet the need in that moment. So observe what is the core need. Okay. As you observe the need, begin to provide this version of yourself with that need. Meet the need of the child or the younger version of yourself. As you see that the child's need is met, you're going to notice the transformation of the child. You might also notice a shift in the environment and those others that are there. Go ahead and notice how this pattern is passing down the generations. Just observe what these generations would have needed in order to no longer repeat this pattern. I want you to notice a cord that connects your body to all of these ancestors and to the origin of these ancestors, to all of the points on the planet Earth that are connected to these ancestors. So let's say that your ancestors are in South America. Notice the country, notice the city, and just notice where those cords are connected to the earth, or to, to what country or what city. Go ahead and uproot those cords. And I want you to gently observe how your ancestral pool has grown. You have many more ancestors that have revealed themselves to you. Go ahead and observe the origin of this belief system in the society at that time. Just gently observe the influences that participated in the creation of this program to begin with, this belief system, and what is needed to alchemize that embodiment. Allow all of these fractals, if what you discovered, whatever emotion is needed, for example, the example of trust, if trust is what each one of them needed, what color would that be? Go ahead and fill each one of these beings, these ancestors, with that color. That color is a frequency, it's a tone, it's an information, and each one of them are going to attune to that. You're going to see the cord in your body. I want you to pull that cord out of your body. Just notice what it looks like when you pull it out, how it's connected to different organs, different parts of your body, different layers of your etheric field, maybe. Just observe. The more intuitive you are, the more you see. Just pull it out, or the more intuitive you allow yourself to be, really. Just quiet the analytical mind. Just observe. Trust what comes out. And as you pull it out, sometimes these look like roots of a tree, tentacles, cords, ropes, strings. Be very thorough. You're going to bring source light into your body, replacing whatever you released from your body. And we're going to create a vortex of violet light that goes directly to source. That cord is going to be absorbed into that source. Source is the cord from your ancestors and the earth, and the cord from your body is being connected to source. Very good. Go ahead and see your ancestors merging into one and see them leave your space. Inhale deeply, calling back your life force and releasing whatever you may have taken on from them. It could be emotions, programs, belief systems, limitations, fears. Let it go. Imagine your body eliminating all of this out. You're going to see your younger version of yourself. Notice all the versions in your life that you've repeated this program, this belief system. How many times have you played it out in your life and caused yourself suffering or others suffering? Just observe the impact of this belief system in your life. As you begin to fill all these fractals of yourself with your color, your healing color, the emotion that is needed, the understanding that is needed, you're going to see them merging into one in front of you. Go ahead and inhale deeply, taking this into your body. This is who you are. Notice what you look like. Notice if your field, a lot of times, the body looks brighter, or it looks more expansive, or more certain, or more loving, more compassionate, more safe, more relaxed. Just notice what's changed in your fractal. You're going to absorb that. This is who you really are. Okay, so go ahead and absorb it into your body. You're going to begin by opening the root chakra back into a balanced state, the sacral back into a balanced state, the solar back into a balanced state. You're going to close the heart just a little bit, the throat just a little bit, the third eye just a little bit. Activate your crown. Go ahead and fill your eighth with your creative color. Okay, so we realign all the chakras in a straight line. So we closed it into a martini, and now we're going to open it into a straight line up your body, with the upper chakras of the middle and the upper dantian more expanded than the lower chakras. The lower chakras are expanded, but they're in a balanced expansion, not out of balance. You're going to go ahead and expand your 9th, your 10th, 11th, 12th, 13, 14, 15, 15th chakra, 17th chakra, 18th chakra. Just take a moment to pause, observe how you feel as you expand your 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th. Notice what might shift. 19th, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. And above you is a powerful white light of source. Go ahead and bring that source light down into your body, anchoring it down to the center of the earth. You're going to see another pillar of white light from the center core of your belly out to the back, going around the perimeter of the earth, holding you in place into this earth matrix. So you're anchoring source light into these two access points of energy in your body. And I want you to open the chakra in between your heart and your stomach, your solar plexus, not really your stomach, your solar plexus. Open. That is unifying these two access points in your body, integrating the lower and the middle and the upper dantian. Excellent. Go ahead and open your eyes. With your eyes wide open, you can see your energetic body. I want you to continue to see your grounding cord, continue to see your chakras and your chakras as far up as you can with your eyes open. You guys did amazing. Welcome back. All right, so I want to thank you so much for joining me today, and I really hope that this lesson assisted in your evolution. I'm gonna jump into some questions. So if you guys have some questions, please put them in capital letters in the chat so that I can see them. Let's start with Marija question. I'm surrounded by clutter in the house, and I've been putting off getting ready for days. I don't understand why I live in a mess. So what I tend to find is mess in the mind, confusion and mess, especially with our emotional body. If we have conflicting emotions, if there's emotions we don't want to feel or we're avoiding, or truths that we don't really want to see or integrate, that is reflected in your environment, in your home. There's mess, there's clutter, there's, things mixed up, things we don't need that we just begin to accumulate. I often find when I come into this kind of energy, that when I avoid meditating and then I sit down and I meditate, and in 15 minutes I process the emotion that I'm resisting, and finally my productivity comes back, right? And then I can clean the whole house and do everything I was avoiding doing. So the invitation is, please sit with the emotion, allow yourself to feel it fully, however uncomfortable it might be. See what it is that your body's trying to tell you. Your body's trying to get your attention. It wants you to see something, and we might not be wanting to look at that. So just notice that the most loving thing to do is to be there for yourself rather than avoid or disassociate with whatever it is that is triggering you at that moment. Okay. And also, what I notice is that the more I come into the present moment, the more organized I am, because I'm more mindful about what I'm doing. I'm in the present moment, so I'm more mindful of like, okay, this belongs here. And when I'm done using it, I'm calm, I'm grounded, I'm not in a rush. So then I, put it away exactly where it needs to be. I try to have a place for everything in my house as organized as I can. And, that way remember that this is an energy system. In the same way the earth is an energy grid, the same way your body is an energy grid, your home and your environment is an energy grid that is an extension of your body. And, when we have many people living in a home, there's a lot of energy grids that are there. So sometimes it can be more difficult to control the space, but you can definitely control your environment, right? And to maintain order and harmony is to open pathways of life force to move freely through the body. So, I am an interior designer. That's what I originally went to school for, before going back to school for all this other amazing stuff. But I also studied Feng Shui and esoteric Feng Shui, connecting to Taoist studies of energy systems. So sometimes I do sessions in homes where I work with the energy grid of the house. And anytime I find a blocked corner or a stagnant energy point in the house, sometimes it's the earth, the land. And again, it's very interesting that you asked this question, because it's exactly pertaining to what we're talking about. Sometimes we move into new houses that have entities, ghosts, blocks, inverted vortex energy systems in the house. I've worked with homes that, there's a lot of death in the house, and then there's stagnation, or they can't sell the home. And then once you start working with the blockage energy points of the house, everyone starts to feel abundance and healing and progression, So, we're really deeply connected with these energy. Everything is energy. So once you understand how energy functions, by understanding that it's a fluid state, it has to be in a fluid state, you'll understand how things block the movement. So attachment, if you don't want to get rid of old things, if you have too many antiques in your house, okay, trust me, I love art. And, but things hold memory. Things hold people's emotional memory. Things in your house hold emotional memory. That's why when you have, let's say, an ex-partner's belongings, it's like, it brings you into a certain memory, that it brings you nostalgia, it brings you memories, emotions. That's an energy grid of memory. It's a bioelectrical system. And you tap into the energy of that object. So the Japanese talk about having very mindful living, right? Everything is a living, conscious being that is participating and assisting you. And you are also assisting it. So it exists here to help us. And if we pay reverence to this object that is here helping us, we're going to be more mindful about how we take care of it, how we engage with it, and how we use it. And that's a very beautiful, mindful way of existing that the Japanese live by. Everything is, very minimalist, but also very mindful. So this is an invitation, and it's a natural side effect of waking up consciousness that I've experienced personally, because you're aware of the energy systems. Okay. Thank you so much, Mariha. So much love to you. Thank you. Mariha, another question. How to resolve money issues on an energetic level? I have no money for months. Okay, so, kind of the same thing though. And, we are coming out of pretty heavy cosmic movements. Our invitation is to transcend the negative influences of cosmic movements. Cosmic movements and shifts that happen are they are highlighting specifically mathematically the parts of our body and mind and soul that we have blocked. Okay, so because the planetary system, you are a solar system, you are the universe. So when systems move in the universe, they're also moving in you. And even though we're talking about planets, each planet has a vibrational frequency, sound, tone that is encoded with emotional data, emotional memory, ancestral memory that you're holding in your body. So, notice that the more you clear out any kind of debris, emotional shadow work that you do, the more you open up the pathways and the less you are influenced by those strong cosmic movements. Okay, so you become free from everything, right? Even that. So with money, it's kind of complex because there's several parts. Money is sexual energy. It's creative life force. It's our primordial energy. Okay, so how we feel about our ability to exchange, our ability to be intimate with ourselves and with others, our ability to give and receive, those are all fundamental energies that we need to learn so that we can understand how we are engaging with the exchange of the world. Also, the more you understand the exchange dynamic, you're going to learn about yourself, where you're not loving yourself enough, where you feel unworthy, where you are disconnected from what you're doing that is bringing you the money. When you follow what you most love to do, what nourishes your soul, not your ego, the soul, right? Because when you're doing something that nourishes the ego, I mean, you probably can reach a lot of money, but you will be very unhappy. Okay? Eventually, right? You will be unfulfilled. You're going to have a lot of problems, a lot of conflict. If you follow, and most cases, you won't gain abundance by following the ego because there's many laws, manipulation. When we follow the ego, we're self-serving. So we want to manipulate things. We want to make things happen, right? We want to force people, sell to people things. There's nothing wrong with sales, but I'm saying as an exchange of concepts, it's that manipulation of thought. Hey, you need this, buy this, you need it, right? So a lot of people come in conflict with that kind of energy eventually. It's very draining for the person. It's very unfulfilling for the person. So these are like little subtle betrayals that we do to ourselves and then collectively, because deep down inside, we know what's up, right? We know what's happening. If you do something that you are truly aligned with, you believe in your core, it's a manifestation of your soul in some way. And the more you heal your trauma, the more your gifts come online, your intuitive gifts, your healing gifts, because all you heal is like a musical note that helps you play a song that is of service to another person. Okay, so, and you're going to attract millions of people that are in resonance with your song, basically your gift that you have to offer the world. And this is essential in the transformational changes that we're going through collectively, because as AI takes the majority of the mindless kind of jobs, the more mechanical jobs that humans are doing right now, whatever it is, we are being called to come back to right order with the true purpose of humanity, which is to be creators, mind, body, and soul. So the financial system will change and adjust to fit that, but we have to come into our true calling based on how we heal and uncover our true purpose. So please focus on, who you are, what it is that brings you the greatest joy. What are the limitations that you have about what you're currently doing? Where are you in conflict emotionally, physically, mentally? Where are your fears? And alchemize that. And that will be the opening of your money and your abundance. Shalanur Aldin, making everything faster, but how can we utilize it matters. Yes, I'm not sure what that was referring, but I'm sure it was something I said previously. Sorry, looking for capital letters. Inga, thank you for the super chat. Love you. Thank you so much. So kind of you. After meditation, I felt pain in the back of my head. And yesterday, after meditation, I had like a crackling pain in my forehead for some time. Pain comes down after I'm resting. Okay, crackling pain. I've talked about the pain of meditation. It may be that you're activating your third eye, but I also think that you have way too much, like there's too much analysis, and there's a lot of distractions of thought and a lot of, what is this? Like analyzing of things in a way that is kind of like depleting life force. So come to stillness, come to work on the silent mind, come into non-judgmental observation, okay, and see how how you feel physically in that state. Remember, always come back into neutrality. Remember, guys, this is everything energy. So when you're in meditation and you open up a strong emotion and then you just leave it hanging, that's not going to go away. Okay, it's affecting you. It's going to affect the body. It's going to affect, when I first started this work and I would open up an emotion, I would just leave it there because it was too much to handle. I would get sick. I would get a flu. That's how I would work. Or I would get like indigestion, or I would get some kind of physical ailment. Because you're opening up maybe generations of stagnant belief systems, generations and years of suppression of certain emotions. So in this work, you have to be very mindful and, work proactively, sit through the emotion. That's why do your work when you have the time to do it. Don't just half-ass it, because, you're just going to kill yourself. I'm really looking forward to my hypnosis section with you Tuesday. Wonderful, Carissa. All right, let's go to the chat here. Anna says, did you mean to leave the chakras 1 to 3 contracted as 4 and above as are expanded? If so, why? Yes, absolutely, Anna. Okay, so because the chakras are the filters of perception, and because the majority of us have our first 3 chakras out of balance, they create very powerful filters of perception. So for those of you that have a hard time meditating, it's because your first 3 chakras are out of balance, so overactive usually. Usually they're overactive. And then we have the heart underactive, or the throat underactive, or third eye completely underactive. So remember, it's like this. We're like this. The energy is depleting, the life force is depleting, our lower chakras are expanded, which makes our life abiding by the natural karmic laws of experience, cause and effect. Like everything is based on cause and effect when you're living from your lower chakras. To change that, to turn into the Merkaba, you'll notice the Merkaba, the pointed star, has a closed bottom. That's you mastering the physical, transcending your attachment to the physical in order to control how you're engaging with the physical world. The Star of David, the lowest point is the smallest point, right? In that's a point there. So the survival, the root chakra, we're not in survival. In fact, we are from the heart. The Star of David, the center of the Star of David is nice and thick and wide. And then again, it points upward. Okay. Why? Because we are turning this physical body from a survival into a loving creator. So when you work with your chakras, and so the moving of these chakras happen without your knowing. They happen all the time, but we just don't know it. Now, because I can see them, I can share this information with you. But this is something that's been practiced for, very long time. This is ancient understanding of the energy system. So psychics, they tend to have more of a martini shape in their body, because in order to attach to the Akashic records, to mediums, to deceased souls or disembodied souls or entities, we are holding frequency in a certain way. And that is usually disconnecting from the material, from the engagement, the conscious engagement of the material into the awareness of the etheric realm, which is done through the higher chakras. So in meditation, we want to help ourselves in closing the first three chakras and opening the heart, the throat, and the third eye, so that we can use our intuition to see what we've been doing with our first three chakras, what's going on there. If you go into meditation and you keep your chakras wide open, it's going to be really hard for you to actually see beyond the filters of your own blockages. If you're coming from survival, all you're going to see is survival. And so when we redirect that attention, you're opening your third eye, and you can actually see your etheric body, where all these thick blockages are, where you see those, pictures in your space, and you can clear them out. When you run energy, it moves those blockages out. Okay, so always open your chakras at the end of every meditation. Quick story time. When I first started doing this and I would forget to reopen my chakras, one time I was walking down, I think I was living in Walnut Creek at the time, and I was walking down the street, and this gentleman in this scruffy clothes approached me. And, I talked to him, and he was like asking for help. So he asked me for help, and I was like, okay, well, just let me see if I can find someone to help you. So I run and I look for the security guard of the property to see if he can help. And when I brought the security guard, he couldn't see the guy. He couldn't see him. Only I could see him, right? So I sent a chill down my spine, because I was like, oh, I see what was happening. So the guy looked at me funny, like I'm losing it. I apologized. I let him go. And the gentleman was coming to talk because he needed different kind of help, right? So I began to assist this gentleman. But that's just one example. It's an extreme example, but it's happened to many of my clients as well. You open up, you're in psychic mode, but because we don't know how to maintain healthy boundaries, we're going to attract all kinds of things, because your light is brighter now and you're in the etheric realms. So you can attract entities, attachments, all kinds of things if you don't know how to maintain proper energetic hygiene and boundaries. Again, it's not you're attracting them, you're creating them, and you're attracting them because you still haven't mastered your own emotional awareness yet, right? At least I didn't at that time, and many of my clients are not there yet. So, we're very curious, right? So we're like, ooh, what's that? And then, you go and engage with something that, you might not need to attach to. So yeah, there's a lot to learn, right? Because we are navigating through a multidimensional reality. And so there's a lot to learn there. So always open your chakras at the end of your meditation. Also try to meditate rather indoors rather than outdoors when you're first starting to meditate. Because again, until you learn how to strengthen the awareness of the present moment all the time, being grounded, you might not have the ability to manage what's happening around you. Okay? All right. Charles says, besides the shadow work and meditation, I attracted a colleague of mine who we started to collaborate in helping each get unstuck and move forward in our purposed projects. As a result, we help each other see our blind spots and share resources to overcome them. What other way do you recommend in accelerating ourselves and our collaboration? I mean, it really just comes down to the basics, Charles, right? Because in any kind of collaboration, I would first ask the question, what is the resonance that brings you to for the collaboration? Okay, because nothing is random. And whenever we're collaborating, whether it's in a relationship, a loving relationship, or a career relationship, colleague, we're always attracted by resonance, and if our resonance is coming from lack or from fear or from greed, for example, our timeline might go in the direction of whatever's the strongest resonance for the two of you. Okay, so I would always question, okay, what is the attracting force here? Are we both coming from lack? Are we coming from fear? What's happening? Once you address that and you clear that in yourself, right? You cannot affect the other person. How you work with the other person will become very clear to you. Sometimes we need to kind of readjust, maybe create proper boundaries. Sometimes we need to open up more. It really gives you a deeper insight into the quality of the work that you're doing, so that it's productive for both at a soul level where you are evolving. You're also going to be able to identify pretty quickly whether, maybe it's going to fall out of alignment eventually, and we need to be aware of that and kind of know how to structure ourselves in the level of depth that we're going into the projects. Okay. And just keep open space for the highest evolutionary truth for both as you are working through the project. Okay. And, it's a tricky one because sometimes certain collaborations are part of our growth. As I mentioned earlier today, we need to learn certain lessons to evolve. Okay. So nothing is random, and stay intuitive, do your shadow work, be extremely honest about what you're doing. What is your intention? Have a clear intention for the collaboration that is in alignment with what your highest purpose is. Okay. And be honest about what your intention is also, because sometimes we can, do all kinds of things. Joyous, that was amazing. Thank you so much, Joyous. Thank you for being here. Goddess Cheryl, thank you so much. Love you. Stephen, thank you. Joyous, you mentioned earlier about healing the land where we are born. What is your take if you no longer live where you were born, nor do you live where your ancestors are from? Are we technically healing all those places? Yeah, we are. We are. And we should, we should. This is what our ancestors did, all of these indigenous groups that were so deeply connected to the earth, they didn't have this learning curve that we're going through as a humanity, where it's like, first of all, heal yourself, and we're stuck in the healing ourselves. Like, we still haven't done that yet. But this is a lifelong process, right? So it's really important that we do this work whenever you're ready to do that work. But get to know. So in your healing work, what you're going to find, because it seems like such a huge, complex work, but it's actually not. And let me tell you why. Because what you'll notice after you see maybe 40, 50 versions of yourself in different angles of your life experiences, you are always choosing between love and fear. That's what it distills down to. And you're basically just observing when you have avoided love or rejected love in yourself and others. That's really what it comes down to. So it can be sexual trauma, abuse, money, family problems, cultural problems. It all comes down to the same thing because of the dualistic nature of the construct. So we have that going for us, right? So it's just that duality that we're working with. And so things will move quicker once you realize that. And it'll be easy to integrate your fractals. So then it becomes, then your perception will expand its awareness from the individual ones that you're doing to the collective. You'll begin to notice, wow, why do I keep repeating this? This goes into our culture. Our culture follows these norms. Why? Where did those come from? And as you start to heal that and see that, it opens up to global, continental, then global belief systems. And it's very beautiful work because you begin to see the history, the real history of humanity through your own internal work. That's the real uncovering of the Akashic records of the earth. History as we know it right now is a complete manipulation of truth. It's not true at all. Most history that is taught in school, for example, Okay, so there's a reason for that, because it follows along emotional narratives and social engineering at very deep levels. So when we break away from that, we begin to see the true history of the earth, and then everything changes, right? All of a sudden, your trauma that you're dealing with is like, oh, this isn't the truth. This is a manipulation of truth. Like, I do have a power, and I do hold a power. I do hold a truth. I am worthy in this society, in this world, right? So we're going to go through a major inversion of the entire systems. Those that are in power are going to lose their power back to those that were in power at the origin of this human conception. That's where we're headed. And so the tables are going to turn. And that has to do with DNA, it has to do with genetics, it has to do with, certain physical traits, it has to do with cultural belief systems, religious belief systems. All of that's going to change. So this healing work that we're going into, it's necessary. Yes, follow back to the origin of your place. Again, we are one. So even if you don't live there, we're deeply connected. And the core is not like the place. The key is the emotions that are trapped within the souls of that land. We are living that out. We don't know that we are, but we are. We have insecurities, doubts that we keep repeating, that have been repeated by all of our ancestors in that land for many generations. Whatever the scenario might be. Christian, wow, love and blessing to everyone, and obviously you, Geraldine, thank you so much. That was intense, girl. I'm so happy to hear that. That's incredible. That's beautiful. Jason says, you spoke of our birthplace being very important. Should we return to our birthplace to re-energize and clear the connection again? No, it's not necessary to return to the place at all. It's all done in your meditation etherically. However, I've noticed that as a result of major healing, trips do manifest for the person to go back to their land. And I see this a lot. I've never really talked about it, but it's happened to me several times when I was healing different phases of my lineage. But all of a sudden, something happened where I had to go to that place. And when I went to the place, holy moly, the dreams, the memories, the ancestral discoveries. I was receiving messages about secrets about my family that not even my family knew, like that my grandparents had secrets that my aunts didn't even know. And then it would just change like the narrative of our whole family, those kinds of things. Okay, so there's a lot of magic. It's like magic that really appears, that heals our collective. And you will be called to the place that you need to go for healing. Also, another phenomenon I noticed that's interesting when you're doing this healing work, you will be called to travel to places that you were not born in, but you've had a lot of lives in, where you've repeated the ancestral trauma many lifetimes. This was very strong for me when I returned to the UK. Oh my God, it was like returning home. First time just flying over, I knew the land. It was like home. And being there recovered all the memories, lifetimes that I've spent in the UK and Scotland and Ireland, all these areas there, with massive memories of lifetimes. And so all the healing that took place, the problems and struggles that I had during my trip there were exact mirrors to the ancestral core belief systems that I had lived many lifetimes on that land. So those are some things that we begin to uncover. And these are also things that a lot of indigenous people spoke of as well when they are doing their healing of the land. Okay. Very intense meditation, felt tightness, but it went away. Awesome, Nicholas. Elaine, I'm so there with the contending with clutter, totally triggered amygdala yesterday as time pressure to conquer and divide too much at one time. Elaine, hang in there. Vicky says, there are moments when with friends, I shut down inwardly, stop talking, and feel disconnected from them. What could be possible for reason for it? Yeah, that's interesting. Well, it could be a couple things. Pay attention. How much of that is an insecurity or fear of your own truth or your authenticity in your environment with your friends and family? But also pay attention to what messages are being provided for you intuitively about the group, that maybe you're picking up on some truths that are, uncomfortable about your circle of friends. Maybe you notice that the resonance and frequency is different. And that's very important thing to pay attention to. Because if you notice that the frequency is different, you will have to modify, you will feel like you have to modify your authentic self to fit in or to want to be accepted by the group, So that those are things that we have to pay attention to. And the invitation would be, what do you need in order to come into your highest authenticity, regardless of where and who you are with? That's the question that we need to ask, and pay attention to what's the answer, because we should be able to be authentic everywhere that we go with whoever we are. And, it heals. Your authenticity heals people. Even if the healing is them becoming angry for 5 minutes, believe it or not, sometimes the most loving thing to do is to be in your authenticity, and it will trigger people. They will feel reactive, or they will be defensive. They might feel attacked because, that's the filter of their perception. So just to pay attention to the dynamics, make sure that you are coming in and you're listening. Are you maybe avoiding some truths that your intuition is telling you, or maybe you don't want to hear that? Or maybe it's an invitation to act on it, and then we're afraid of our truth. Okay, so what do you need to love yourself deeper in order to be authentic in any place? And yeah, also there's so much there, Vicky, because when we contract our energy, it might be our insecurity, but also it might be a need for protection energetically. So again, another focus point is how are our relationship with safety? What do you need in order to feel safe in your authenticity? Okay, so what do you need in order to develop a strong level of safety in that authenticity? There's so much more I could say, but we can talk in our next meeting. Elaine says, well, my feng shui is totally opposite mine. Also on land where massacres happened, didn't know, but a dowser said before place built, did find out after the fact that it was true. Yeah, exactly. So the ancients used dowsing in order to see how the energy is running through places. Who does an amazing video on that is Dan Winter. He talks about how the land that is full of wars and suffering, it won't give produce or earth. You can't farm on it, but you can heal it. There's many ways of healing the earth, also using some sciences that you can. Christian says, question, best ways to deal with low vibrational people in situations that are toxic that you have to deal with, such as family. Thank you. Yeah, so family is a difficult one, but what I would say is it's difficult because it's so close to us. We can't go away or change, so I advise working on the highest level, which is with your contracts. Okay. And the same thing with friends, Vicky, who was asking earlier. In your meditation, see each of your family members, especially the ones that are triggering. First of all, you need to know why you are being triggered. That's for you. That's your gold. Why are you being triggered? What's being triggered in you by this engagement? And your work is to alchemize that trigger. That's for you, separate. But when you do that, it will change your vibrational frequency. It'll also change your level of compassion with yourself and others, because you'll understand why that's happening. And that understanding will also hopefully assist you in your communication and your engagement so that it becomes more compassionate. Then you want to look at your contractual agreements. Okay, so as you see them in your meditation, shine your crown light of your higher self on the family member and notice the contract. If there's no contract, you know, this relationship is really not in our best interest. Okay, so then you have an invitation. Maybe separation is a proper thing for both of you. Okay, if there's a small contract, you know, it's not in our best interest, but we have something to learn. There's unfinished business there. So, you know, that's something to know. If it's a big contract, we have a lot of unfinished business. We have a lot of history. We have a lot to learn in that relationship, and it's mutual. Okay. So in all the cases, we're going to eliminate the contract because we want to learn the same lesson through the higher self. But you need to know what's happening. That'll help you know. Then after that, you want to work with what the contract is talking about. How you're going to know what the contract is talking about is by making a list of all the things that trigger you from the relationship. That person is a mirror to all the things that we have unresolved within ourselves. And that's your work. That's your internal alchemy and elevation. What I have found is that when I did the shadow work, the way I would, first of all, my energetic presence changed because I was no longer affected by any kind of trigger emotionally. So my field was big. I was really stable. I was grounded. I was in the present moment. That changes. It's going to trigger some people, and then other people will disengage, actually. But that's not the purpose why we're doing it. Then you come into your authenticity. You become an example of someone that loves themselves. You speak in that way. You answer questions in that way. You interact and engage in that way all the time. You don't betray yourself. You don't neglect your true emotions. You are aware of your authentic triggers, and you meet your needs constantly. In this way, you are redirecting your life force back towards yourself. This disengages the energetic imbalanced exchange that was happening prior to that. Okay, you're taking back your power. And so what happens is that sometimes this will make others go crazy. They can have all kinds of explosions, reactions sometimes. So in that, you need to hold your space if that does happen. And we need to just allow the human to just express whatever they need to go through, because that's a learning for them as well. So if you are being compassionate, if you're being truthful, what I found is that even the way I spoke to them would change in a way that they would not respond in a negative manner anymore, because it would address directly the need. We learn to identify the need of the communication. You look beyond the triggering that they want to do, and you go directly to meeting the need because you see the need of the other person. Okay, this is because you're meeting your needs. That's why you can identify them in someone else. And that happens with practice over time. Okay, so there's a couple of things that you can observe there. Okay. But aren't we less grounded then? Hi, Anne, can you, oh, you're talking about the chakras. No, grounding has nothing to do with your chakras. That's a misconception. Your chakras are, grounding is being fully in your body and present in your body. That's grounding. Okay. And when you connect to the earth, you're shifting the vibration, you're balancing the positive, negative charges in your body and bringing your brain into alpha state, which allow you to be more present and fully embodied in your physical body. But the actual physical embodiment of that is actual grounding. So you can use the visualization of connecting to the center of the earth. And when I tell people to ground, I'm asking you to imagine a bodysuit that is connecting you all the way down to the center of the earth. And you anchor yourself into the center of the earth, whatever that looks like to you, doesn't matter. And come into the observation enough to almost as if you can feel the rotation of the earth. That's how to quiet this monkey mind and the analytical mind that wants to just analyze everything. It quiets that. And then with practice over time, that becomes really stable. That's a really nice, stable stillness that you cultivate in your emotional body. That is grounding. Okay, so the chakras opening and closing have nothing to do with the grounding, the full embodiment. Okay. A lot of people, they're actually out of their body. And sometimes I see people in reading state and then they just leave their body. We don't want to do that ever, actually. Always want to be in your body. So your chakras can be any number of ways. The more open your lower chakras, the harder it's going to be for you to ground, actually. The more out of balance your lower chakras are, the harder it will be for you to be in your body, because you're going to be full of all kinds of unresolved emotions, thought forms that are just in your space. So that's why energetic hygiene is so important, to clean your energetic space. And you want to do that when you ground. Okay. I saw a relative from long ago and gave me a message. Wow, Nicholas, that's awesome. Elaine says, was told travel equals collecting permanent atoms. Interesting. Joyce, thank you, Geraldine. Thank you so much. Yes. All right, guys. Thank you so much for all your questions. I really enjoyed this time with you. Andrea, thank you so much for that super chat. That's super generous. Thank you. Thank you so much, Andrea. Let me see if I'm missing any questions here. Wow, lots of questions. When did it get better for you? It feels like the work is never ending. I think the moment that I realized that it all distills to either choosing love or fear, it was really clear at that point. And I also began to notice how I was so attached to my own narratives of suffering and how I was embodying victim role in my life. That was a major turning point. From there, I began to see how that was so unloving of myself. It was a fear state, right? And it's self-destructive. So as I began to be more compassionate with myself and truly be there for myself, lovingly, emotionally, I began to notice, how much work it was to get to that point. And I don't want to keep adding work to my life. So now I did it in the present moment. Now, here and now, we are loving to ourselves. Here and now, we don't betray ourselves. Here and now, we don't traumatize ourselves. I'm here meeting my needs every moment of my day, every second. That's how the healing progresses, right? So it's a lifelong experience of learning to love yourself deeper. Hi, when will we be able to recognize good aliens from not good when time comes, or should we just only expect good? No, there's everything. There's good and bad. In fact, there's no good and bad in the way I see things. There's only ranges of frequencies. And the more internal shadow work we do, the more we discern and we can identify the frequencies, because you know them in you. And so when you meet a frequency at a certain level, you know that energy, you've been there. You know when that's coming from parasitic consciousness or when it's coming from the light. You can discern quickly what is love and fear. Once again, it comes back to that. You know what's expansive, you know what's contractive, you know what's the inversion of nature, you know what is in right order. That is the ultimate power of discernment. So you don't fear anything, basically. And see what happens when you are drawn to live in a place that has no connection to your family or life in this lifetime. I lived in a place for 4 years and then was traumatically slingshot out of it. Yep, same, experienced the same. Like overnight. I'll give you a quick story. Being in Mexico, I moved to Mexico, Playa del Carmen, absolutely gorgeous. And I was doing a lot of shadow work. Amazing. I'll tell you guys this sometime. From one day to the next, I have this severe, life-threatening allergy to the mosquitoes in the area. I had to go to the ER. The doctor said, we cannot find EpiPens anywhere at this moment, so you need to go anywhere to get them. So the only place to get them from an American is in the US because they have a problem with smuggling and all kinds of things. That was my exit. Okay, so whenever you're done with the work in the place that you're at, something will redirect you, or the event will be a calling for deeper healing, okay, of some aspect of yourself. So, yeah, and then just notice what your intention was for going there, what was your calling, all of that is being healed there. Question, can you share what your understanding of quantum acceleration and or healing is? These words popped into my mind during meditation today. Thank you so much for all you share. Thanks so much, Mystic Light Weaver. Acceleration and or healing. Yeah, so healing means to become whole, okay? Quantum acceleration, you know, in this context, doesn't really mean much until you understand the mechanics and the architecture of your multidimensional body, okay? When you are spinning fast, you are more in a state of the 0 point and you're more in a state of love. So therefore, how you travel, navigate through quantum non-locality multiversally is accessible to you. Okay, so that would be an example of that quantum. As all timelines are available to you from that 0 point. And that's when we're spinning the fastest. And that is healing because you are becoming all and nothing simultaneously at that point. Okay. Alrighty. Andrea says, going through my shadow work has made me engage less with the world. I've come to appreciate my solitude. Is that natural part of the process, or should I make an effort to stay socially active? Andrea, 100%. Okay, yes, it is a natural part of this process because, and you notice, you have to experiment for yourself. If you go to old friend groups where the frequency is different, you know, there won't be a lot of resonance there. So, you know, you become more selective in that you choose environments, people, places, things that are, you know, a beautiful engagement of that energy. However, there is no random meeting. There's no random event. So whatever life events happen, it's an invitation to see a mirror of yourself. Once again, it's always a mirror of yourself. So everyone, every relationship, every friendship, every collaboration is an opportunity to understand where we need to grow deeper love with ourselves. And so be mindful of that, because if you close yourself up in a room and don't leave anymore, you might stall your growth, right? So this is the issue with Buddhist monks that live their entire life meditating on a mountain. The harder part is to actually live in the world and still embody those higher wisdoms, to still be able to sustain the 0 point. So, you know, you're holding a level of mastery that is higher at this moment. And you will learn to discern your relationships. And trust me, when you are authentic, your greatest protection is your authenticity. Your authenticity will naturally eliminate the people that don't need to be in your life. As long as you are living in harmony and in integrity with your core values, okay, aligned with the natural laws, that's natural, you know, you will always eliminate relationships that are no longer in alignment with you. They'll just disappear. Okay. So yeah, so just pay attention to that. All right, guys, I am all questioned out. Thank you so much for being with me. I love you, and I will see you soon. Okay. Oh, Christian says, oh my God, same thing happened to me. That's hilarious. Wow. I want to hear all about that. All right, guys, I love you. I'll see you soon. Bye.